next presenter, I had the pleasure of actually meeting him today, even though I have talked about him multiple times in panels and in other presentations, is Romero Rodrigues. I think most of you know him. Whenever people talk about exits in Brazil, that's usually the example that people bring of as a very successful example of entrepreneurship that went all the way from the beginning to a very successful end.
So, I was here before as an investor. Now I'm here as an entrepreneur to talk a little bit about how Buscape was created and all the challenges we had during those 18 years. So I think first thing I'm going to do is to take out my investor jacket. Okay, looks better now. So I think this is a picture that was taken in year 2000, end of 1999, early 2000. I was 20 or 19 at the time, super naive, and I think that was probably one of the best ingredients we could have as young entrepreneurs in Brazil back then. But I think what made Buscape really exist, besides resilience and the great team, was essence, was soul, purpose. It is very similar to what we heard from Leila. So we really believed we could change the way people were doing purchase decisions. And we thought that the whole model was a little bit broken. If you go back 100 years ago, the manufacturers would decide what you would buy. And if you want a blue car, you don't have it, it needs to be black, because Henry Ford decided the black color is better because it creates more efficiency in his production line. Then later, the power went to the retail chains, and they decide if you're going to buy brand A or B or C, because they're not offering brand D, E, F, because they couldn't give a good discount to be in the shelf. And we thought somehow, someday, this power will move finally to the consumer hands. So maybe Buscape could help that and be one of the enablers for this change. And I think several moments of our life, we kind of lost our soul, we forgot about it, and the critical moments of Buscape was exactly when we were not paying attention to our purpose. And if you really get what Rogério said and Leila said, they were telling about the dream. They're still talking about the dream and the soul of the company. So for the entrepreneurs here, think about it. Think about the why. Why your company needs to exist. So, first idea of Buscape was quite different from what we did in the end. So the original idea, and when you go back to when we created Buscape in June 1998, there was no e-commerce in Brazil. And we thought about creating a search site that would search just for product and prices. And the idea came because Rodrigo, my friend and co-founder of Buscape, was searching for a printer. He tried every single big search company there was in the space in 1998. And there was no Google. It was Lycos, it was Excite, Alta Vista. He found everything but prices. And then we decided to create a site which would be basically the following. Would distribute floppy disks in newsstands, so retailers could get the floppy disks, install a piece of software in their computer. This software would search in the hard drive for Excel files or for ERP systems, would grab the prices from there, like a local search, a desktop search, would connect to the molding, that would connect to the BBS, would do that strange sound, and send all the information to our servers. And as engineers and not marketers, we thought it would be great to develop the MVP before really testing the market. So a couple months after we developed it, I remember I went out on the street of my neighborhood in São Paulo, and I went to several different types of retailers, tiny retailers like moms and pops type of store. And the reaction was terrible. They were like, "Are you nuts? I don't give prices over the phone. Why I would give prices to you and you're gonna put all the prices on the web, and my competitors will know my price, my clients will know my price before coming here. This is a joke, really, seriously?" And then I remember I came back with all the 10 floppy disks. I bought a whole box, and I came back with all of them back home, and the company died for the first time. And stayed like that for like 1 or 2 weeks. And then we decided to reanimate the company, which is probably called today pivoting. And we said, let's do the following. Let's try to grab the prices that we have online. And at the time, we found 5 websites with prices. 3 of them were selling, already doing e-commerce, but the other 2, they only had the price list. And maybe we start from there. We get a little bit of prices, and then we bring consumers, and we make this whole thing spin the right way. And that's when we started working on the Shopbot idea, the spider software that would go after the prices. And again, back in 1998, there was no venture capital, there was no financing to tiny companies. At that time, you would have to go to a government bank, like Caixa Econômica Federal, and you would have to give your car and your house as a mortgage in order to get a check back. And that's it. And we didn't have neither of them, no car and no house. So we had to have a solid business plan and a business model. And basically the business model was pretty clear. So we would finally make price information available to consumers. So consumers would go to merchants, but in a qualified way, because they would only click and go to a merchant if they already searched and researched about the product and the price. Then, of course, merchants will notice that everybody that was coming from Buscape would convert better. And they would probably call us, and we say, okay, you can get a highlight in the top of the search results, and basically we can charge you on a click basis, and then of course we're going to get this money from the clicks and by advertising to promote Buscape. More consumers, more stores. And this whole thing will start to spin super fast and grow and grow and grow, and it's going to be beautiful. And we launched Buscape 1998, June 1st. And the only asset the company had, like as an accounting, in an accounting view, was a phone line, a landline. Landlines in Brazil were assets at the time. They used to cost a lot of money. And since it was so virtual and nobody was understanding what we were doing, we decided to invest the money in a landline, which costed at the time 1,200 reais. So probably would be like 5 times more today. And in the 3rd day, a merchant called. Right in the 3rd day, right after we launched it. And when we launched it with 35 merchants, which was like 100% of the e-commerce in Brazil. And was director, manager of a big retail chain. And he said, oh, okay, I saw you boys launched a nice comparison shopping site for comparing prices. Oh, so cool. But I don't want to be listed. I don't want my prices listed. And I said, okay, but based on what? Like, this is like free information according to consumer law. Information regarding a product needs to be distributed. I said, okay, but really, I don't care. I really want to get out of the listing. I said, no, look well. And then the guy said, look, I'm serious. If you don't remove me from the listing until the end of the day, I'm going to sue you. And I remember we hung up the phone, and I was like, like, company's dead again. Like, this merchant was huge, and they were accounting for 50% of all the offers and prices in the website. And to remove them would be a bad precedent. So, super naives, and also because of bureaucracy, we were still trying to get our CNPJ, our company number, our tax ID, which we couldn't. It took almost 1 year. We said, you know what? We don't even have a tax number yet, so it's going to be really hard for the guy to find us. Let's keep him in the list. And we kept him, and then as a follow-up action, I decided to call the guy every month to try to do a meeting, but I could never go through his assistant. So life went on, but it was kind of a reality check, because we thought we were smart engineers. And the whole cycle and the whole wheel was spinning the wrong direction. So the guy who was supposed to call us, to give us money, was calling us to get money that we didn't have. And then we realized things would be going to be a long journey, would be a marathon and not a sprint. Then in 1999, the whole buzz about internet came to Brazil. A lot of people were leaving banks and consulting firms to start their internet business, and we were there with our business there, which was great because it was in fact perfect timing and location, and we ended up getting a lot of different proposals for investment, and we ended up closing a seed round, and right after the seed round we closed a big round with Merrill Lynch and Itaú Unibanco. At the time, they invested a $3 million post in a post money of $10 million, and it was key for us. We were probably one of the last internet companies to at least announce in the press that we got an investment in year 2000. And after that was nuclear winter. Really nuclear winter, and really tough times came, and I remember we had an interesting conversation with the board in the end of 2001. We spent pretty much year 2000 hiring the team, trying to convince the board not to spend all the money in advertising, because the business plan was, boys, you're gonna get this $3 million, you're going to spend it all in advertising. By the end of the year, you're going to have 10 times the audience, which means 10 times the valuation, and you're going to raise more money. And we're going to keep doing it until we have a business. And I remember myself and my co-founders, we looked at each other and said, it can't be that easy. Like, it's not like just spending the money and increasing the audience. And we started to see all the companies dying. We said, we are not spending the money. And we ended up not spending. We didn't do a TV campaign. But in the end of 2001, pretty much 1.5 years after investment, the company was still burning money, but we still had a lot of cash from the $3 million we received. We do price comparisons, so we are cheap by nature. And I remember I had a very tough board meeting. And I remember one of the board members said, look, we have two types of companies in our portfolio. The companies that are already gone because they ran out of money, they shut down the doors, and the ones that are without money and about to shut the doors as well. And there are you guys. You still have money. You still have a lot of money from the investment we did. And I remember, wow, compliments coming, compliments coming. And the guy said, you know what? Because of that, we probably should shut down the company. I said, why? Because you still have money. We can save this money. Because this whole internet thing, it didn't work. It didn't work. It was a nice try. It didn't work. And then we compromised to anticipate break-even to the end of the following year, 2002. And if we didn't, we would close the company. And then we started 2002 doing everything we could, and everything, and I mean everything. We were selling technology, data, and then we started to sell the highlights in the top of the search, which really fast became pretty much the whole result page. And we ended up reaching break-even in September 2002. But I think the best moment of 2002 was even before that. Because we really need to pay the rent and the bills, we started to charge every single merchant. And all of them were already paying to Buscape. But one, that same guy that had called us 3 years before, asking to get removed from the list, and I was trying to call him since then. Never went through. And then one day, it was a Tuesday morning, we had a tough call, and we decided to remove the company, the merchant, from the listing. And he spent the whole Tuesday out of the listing, and then on Wednesday, phone rings. Used to ring more at the time, and it was the same guy. And he said, oh, okay, so after 3 years, you finally removed me from the listing. Yeah, I noticed, sales went down yesterday, and we found out we are not listed anymore. We said, yeah, well, we're trying to schedule a meeting, etc., etc. Look well. And he said, you know what? I have been contributing to you with my content for 3 years, and now you decide to remove it? If you don't put me back in the listing until the end of the day, I'm gonna sue you. And you know what? I laughed. The first time was great, was over the phone, because I had like wet eyes and like, I'm getting sued. And I didn't even start the company, I'm already getting sued. This time I smiled because I noticed that we were in deep trouble. We were still burning a lot of cash. We didn't know what would happen with the company. But this whole thing that merchants used to say, like, I'm not giving you prices, you need to come to my store, it was over. It was definitely over. So this is a picture we have in the office, in the first office we had in the wall, which is pretty much how we feel about what is our mission, what is our core spirit. We want consumers to do a better purchase decision. So we want them to win in this moment. And one of the times we really lost track of stuff was when the company started to grow too fast. We started to occupy different spaces in a building. We were in the same building, but 8 different offices. We had recently acquired 2 companies, did a merger with the competitor we had, Bom de Faro, acquired Ebit, and I realized the culture was completely broken. And then we did it was a 1.5 years almost work on trying to rebuild the values. And we realized that as we were growing, we didn't have any process, any mechanism to extend the culture of the company. Because when you are tiny, when you are like 20 people, 30 people, everybody in the same room, it's quite easy because everybody goes to lunch together, everybody's listening you, getting sued over the phone, and things like that. So everybody understands what are the core values of the company. It costed a lot for us to create this process later. And again, I don't know, sound too repetitive, but Rogério, Leila, they were all talking about the purpose. So it's very important. So, because we ended up fixing the culture problem and focusing on the values and mission and vision, we started to do kind of a big bang expansion. We stayed. We were extremely focused. We were focused for 7 years. We did nothing but comparison shopping. But then we realized nobody was doing anything in the Brazilian market. All the big portals, they were doing no acquisitions. A lot of interesting e-commerce players popping up. A lot of interesting models in US that we could bring to Brazil. So we started to do acquisition after acquisition, greenfield launches after greenfield launches, which ended up, in fact, with Naspers acquiring the company in September 2009, which was a great exit and a great milestone for the ecosystem. But I think was more because of the fact that we went through several different stages of stage financing, kind of approving the whole stage financing model, so seed, Series A, Series B, and then a strategic player. Then the check size itself. And the beauty is Naspers kept sponsoring the founders to do what we were doing before. So we pretty much continue to do all the acquisitions we were doing, but with deeper pockets. And, oops, this is broken, sorry. And basically, using as the main pillar this strong culture, we ended up acquiring 16 businesses. It was until 2013, and it added a total of 20 businesses, in fact. And at some point, we had 47 founders of all those acquired business that still had equity at Buscape or at their company, in their level, working with us. So I'm gonna skip this for a while, and I'm gonna talk why I became a venture capitalist. And it was quite funny because, just to wrap up, and then I want to invite two entrepreneurs to answer a question here. But it's funny because I remember when I announced, it was last November, that I was joining Redpoint, and I got a lot of calls, a lot of people saying, oh, congrats, congrats. But many people said, really? Like, you're gonna become an investor? You're gonna be on the other side of the table? What happened to all the good karma? And I said, seriously? And it was funny because it's funny to see how people misunderstand what we do in our industry. And doing early stage is so great. I was doing it in my free time with my money or for free pro bono at Endeavor. And probably the main reason why I became a venture capitalist is it is my cachaça. Like I'm getting paid to drink, and the fact that you can talk to great entrepreneurs, people smarter than you, every day, one after the other, it's mind blowing. So besides that, I think there are two ingredients that are really great in my opinion. First one, it's a very nascent industry. And venture capital in Brazil looks exactly like BBS Internet looked in 1998. So we are building it again, which is a fantastic sensation. And the second one is, I always believe that you have to have focus. I don't really invest in entrepreneurs that are doing 2 or 3 things at the same time. And to build a company is something unique. But the one thing I missed when I was building Buscape was to understand other sectors, other verticals. We got lucky to do 20 different things at Buscape, but all of them were e-commerce. I never touched sectors like health or logistics or education, and now I can do it. So I see many entrepreneurs who ended up exiting, starting a new company and becoming a serial entrepreneur. I like to think that we could name what I'm doing in the future as a parallel entrepreneur. Now I can focus on helping entrepreneurs to succeed and at the same time be exposed to so many different industries.